Hi, I'm Nadine, a sex educator.
And I'm Eva, a sex researcher.
I use the pronouns she and her because I'm a woman, and when I was your age, I used to be a girl.
Gender is how you feel on the inside about whether you're a boy or a girl, a man or a woman. If you're non-binary, feel like neither or both. People can also be fluid, feel more like female, more like male, based on a different day or time. It's really individual.
Absolutely.
Everyone born with a vulva is a girl. True or false?
Or identifies as a girl. Well, not everybody is sure, and that makes sense. But our genitals actually don't determine our gender. So some people born with vulvas can be boys.
Gender creative parenting is a better option for parenting than assigning kids genders at birth.
Hey Davey,
Yes,
if a person doesn't feel like they're a boy or a girl, what do we call them?
they.
What are your preferred pronouns? They, them.
These are not my preferred pronouns. These are my pronouns.
Mappa, Nini, Nopa, Nori, Opa, Pere, Pom-Pom, Zaza, Zizi.
Trixic, toric, feminomoric, viramoric, allosexual.
They, them, theirs.
They're customizable. Anything can be a pronoun, really.
Neurodivergent noun self pronouns. Animal noun self pronouns.
Neopronouns.
So gender dysphoria is
gender euphoria.
I describe myself as agender.
What is androsexual? Gender queer person.
Homosexuality, bi doesn't really fit them, lesbian doesn't really fit them, pan, asexual, etc.
Asexual, demisexual, and cupiosexual.
Autosexual. Ace flux. Asexuality and allosexuals.
neuroqueer. Gray sexuality.
I'm demisexual.
Dexera is a gender identity that's similar to being a girl.
Let's talk about cupiosexuals and cupio-romantics.
Let's talk about libidoist and non-libidoist asexual.
Pangender.
Non-asexual aromantic and allosexual aromantic.
Micro labels.
People with penises or people with vaginas, rather than saying male and female or men and women.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him.
Brian Laverne, he, him.
Hi, I am Andy P. From Los Angeles, they, them pronouns.
Thank you, Chair. Nick, he, him, his from Twin Cities.
James Jackson, Sacramento DSA, he, him.
Hi, my name is Onlin Wang. I use he, him.
This is Chris, he, him from Cleveland.
This is Daniel Ray from Piedmont, he, him pronouns.
My name is Trey. I use they, them, and he, him pronouns.
Here are some examples of my gender fluidity being a little bitch. Number 1, feeling like a guy and visiting my relatives.
I don't know if you know this, but I am not out to my family.
Therefore, when I'm feeling like a guy but I have to present super feminine in front of my relatives, it makes me feel icky inside.
Also, gender dysphoria is a bit.
Number 2, when suddenly my gender decides to change right before bed. I'll just be vibing, and then it'll be like, binder time. No, Michael, it's not binder time, it's bedtime. Binder time. Number 3, in the frickin' middle of the day. I'll be walking all happily along, and then suddenly, boom, gender change. No, now is not the time, Michael. I have a day to run. I don't need this dysphoria right now. Most of the time, I won't have the resources or capabilities to reduce the gender dysphoria because I didn't bring along with me a hat or a binder or makeup if it's the other way around. So, it's a bitch. It's a real bitch.
Hi everybody, it's your friendly female alter art. And in today's video, we will be switching. Me and Alex will be switching out who is in front in this video. Now, just as a disclaimer, every system is going to switch differently, and every switch in every system is going to look differently. Just because me and Alex can switch very fast does not mean every alter in our system can switch this fast. Please give us a like because I know we're going to get called fake for this. Alright, here goes.
Hey everyone, it's Alex from the A system. The reason me and Art can switch so quickly is because we've been in the system the longest. We've both been in the system since early childhood. We have switched tens of thousands of times. Not all the switches in our system are that smooth. For example, the switch between me and Asher is a lot longer than that. Thank you.
People are really out here acting like they can't comprehend they, them pronouns. They're like, oh, but it's plural. Okay, let me put it into language that you can understand. If you're holding 2 fish in your profile picture, it's 2 fish. But you could also only be holding 1 fish in your profile picture, and it's 1 fish. 2 fish, 1 fish. Same word, plural and singular. You're welcome.
As a fat person, I often dread medical appointments because of blatant medical fat phobia. The last OB appointment I went to, the provider blamed everything on my weight, and told me that I needed to go on a medication that made me feel really terrible. This OB appointment that I just went to, I've been dreading, and the provider was amazing. She asked me what my pronouns are.
Tips on how you can be a better intersex ally. When it comes to inclusive language, oftentimes people tend to use phrases like people with penises or people with vaginas rather than saying male and female or men and women. While this can absolutely be inclusive for trans people, unfortunately it's not always the most inclusive language for intersex people. My advice is to use language that focuses on function and not just form. That means focusing on the actual function that you're talking about, such as people who can get pregnant, people who can get other people pregnant, people who are at risk of testicular cancer, and so on and so forth. This is much more inclusive because there are intersex people who are born with a vagina but don't have a uterus or ovaries or an ability to menstruate. This is because some people that are born with a penis don't have testes. So it's much more inclusive to say what you actually mean than it is to use language that works around that.
Instead of using the typical mom and dad parent titles, there's actually gender-neutral and non-binary parent titles that exist. It can be hard for parents within the LGBTQIA+ community to find a word that they feel comfortable being addressed as by their children. So here are some examples. Dama, Mada, Maddie, Madi, Mappa, Nini, Nopa, Nori, Opa, Pere, Pom-Pom, Zaza, and Zizi. You can find more examples on the website listed above. I would also like to say I cannot believe that 12,000 of you are following me. Thank you so much. I love you.
Binary folks get pronouns that point to who they are, man or woman. But if the only pronoun that non-binary people had was they, them, then that pronoun points to what we're not. We're not binary and we're not cis. And since pronouns indicate gender in the English language, if they was the only option that we had, then it could confuse people into thinking that non-binary is a third gender, as opposed to a multitude of gender experiences. And what I love about neopronouns is that they point to who we are. Some of them have meanings that are connected to genderqueer history, and others have meanings that reflect the individual's experience with gender. As our understanding of gender broadens, our language is broadening to accommodate that, because language is a reflection of the way we think.
Alrighty, everybody, repeat after me. Asexual, pansexual, bisexual, trans people, and non-binary people are 100% valid and definitely part of the LGBTQ community. And if you don't like that, suck my dick.
I'm here. I'm here. And I know you're scared. I know you don't know what to do. But I've got you and I won't leave you. And I love you and I'm so sorry that you're scared. But it's okay to feel. It's safe to feel. It's safe to cry. It's safe to move through it. Oh, I have to put it over here.
The baby has been able to latch, but I've not been able to produce any milk.
This whole birth certificate thing is really causing me a lot of hurt. Trans women can be mothers. We are mothers. I'm your mother.
I made a really loud, yelly video about this, but I decided I will approach this in a more calm but stern manner. A lot of the people using kitty and pup and bunny self-pronouns are neurodivergent minors. It is a very common neurodivergent experience to feel a disconnect from being human and from the societal expectation of the gender you were assigned at birth. So when you have this intersection of feeling a disconnect from being human and a disconnect from the societal expectation of gender, whether you're neurodivergent or not, a lot of people have this experience who are neurodivergent. It's just very common with neurodivergent people. When this intersects, you get noun self pronouns and animal noun self pronouns. If you are not comfortable using someone's pronouns because you assume it's kink for some weird ass reason, don't interact with them and just shut up about it.
Guess what, fuckers? My patience is run out.
Pansexuality is not inherently biphobic. They are both valid sexualities. Both of them. And while yes, I have seen pansexual people use that label for questionable reasons, they pretty quickly get it once you explain things to them. They do. And not only that, but do you know who likes to use specific or micro labels? Neurodivergent people. Sometimes we just have to do whatever we can to feel safe and comfortable. And using a more specific label can be our outlet for that. If you took all that energy you spend calling people biphobic and saying they're performing bi erasure and just educated them, there would be less biphobia. There would be less bi erasure. Because you've explained it and people will know the difference. I have fucking had it with you guys. Jesus fuck.
Hey, and thank you for asking. So my pronouns are she, her. And I also wanted to let you all know that I'm comfortable with both masculine and feminine gendered terms. For those of you that don't know what gendered terms are, some examples of masculine gendered terms are like dude or man, so saying like, hey dude, or what's up man. And some examples of feminine gendered terms are like, hey girl, hey queen, that kind of stuff. And as a side note, I know some people use these in a gender neutral way. I used to use dude a lot in a gender neutral way, but it's important to remember even if you're planning on using them in a gender neutral way, they are still gendered terms. So some people may not be comfortable being called them. It's always best to ask. Second side note, even though I'm comfortable being called feminine gendered terms, please don't call me cis if you're not another Indigenous person unless I've invited you to. Cis is a term of endearment within the Indigenous community that we use to identify each other. So I'm not comfortable being called it by non-Indigenous people. And never call me cis in a sarcastic way.
Nobody needs you to advocate for how difficult it is to use gender-neutral pronouns. Nobody said that the gender binary was easy. These are not my preferred pronouns. These are my pronouns. You will use them, or you will not refer to me. At all. If you misgender me by mistake, fix it and move on. I don't need your elaborate apology. I don't care how many times you say sorry. Just don't do it again. Moreover, if someone else misgenders me, it is never your job to tell them that it's okay. 'Cause it isn't. I get it. The discussion of the gender spectrum confuses you, and that's fine. But if you don't know anything about it, don't speak on it.
Oh no, it's alright, thanks. He's helping me. They. Oh yeah, he's just gone to go and get me. They. I can't remember who served us. I think it was him.
What are your preferred pronouns? They, them. Oh, I've never heard those before. What are they? They're what's known as neopronouns. What are neopronouns? They're basically your own custom pronouns. When no other pronouns seem to fit, you come up with your own pronouns. Anything can really be a pronoun. Oh, how do I use them? It depends on the person and their pronouns. They, them follows a similar spelling to they and them, and even similar grammar rules like there and there. So they, them, themselves, theirs, things like that. Oh, okay. And there are other neopronouns you said? Well, yeah, because they're customizable. Anything can be a pronoun, really. Oh, I didn't realize that you can customize your own pronouns. That's pretty cool. Thank you.
Welcome back to What's That Sexuality? Today's sexuality is trixic. Now, trixic is actually quite complex, especially since it's a new term. The basic definition is a non-binary person, no matter their orientation, who is attracted to women. But it's not always an exclusive attraction. The opposite of trixic is toric, which is the same thing except attraction to men. Now, someone who is trixic can also identify as a non-binary lesbian or feminomoric, though feminomoric is an exclusive attraction to females, the opposite of which is viromoric. The reason trixic or toric is so new is because the term non-binary is so new. It's also the reason why it's not very well known. Trixic flag contains the colors yellow, pink, magenta, and purple. The toric flag contains the colors purple, lighter purple, blue, green, and dark green. I hope you guys learned something and have a wonderful day.
Next up, we have ace flux. So ace flux is your person. They're going to fluctuate between asexuality and allosexual. So like, it's your person that one day they could be like fully asexual and then the next it could totally change. So this is a person whose sexuality is going to fluctuate on a daily basis. One day they could have crushes on somebody. One day they could be sexually attracted to somebody in some form or degree. And the next day they could be completely just not interested, not wanting anything to do with. So this is your person that's going to be asexual one day, in some form or degree of sexual the next. I think that's really interesting. That's very cool, and I love learning about these things as I go along. So if you know anybody who's on the ace flux or anything, please tag them, let them know, share it, like, comment. Thank you.
Homosexuality is basically a label for people who feel the need to have a label, but they don't fit in any other labels. So basically, bi doesn't really fit them, lesbian doesn't really fit them, pan, asexual, etc. It doesn't really describe them correctly. So yes, it's a very small label, but it's for people who just kind of relax once they have a label. Like, I stress out when I don't have a label. So it puts my mind at ease a little, and it's for people who want that. It's kind of the same as unlabeled, but unlabeled people don't want a label. That's the difference. So yeah.
Hi everybody! Welcome back to What's That Sexuality? Today we're going to be covering a very special sexuality called gray sexuality. Now, gray sexuality is where you identify mostly with asexuality, but you don't quite fit the label, nor do you fit the label of demisexual, or what we're going to be covering next, allosexual. Someone who is gray sexual may experience sexual attraction, but not often, maybe only a few times in their life, and they may express their romantic attraction and emotional attraction through cuddles and hugs and things like that. They don't typically see sex as an important role in their life, and do not prioritize sexual attraction when finding a romantic partner. This is their flag. If you can't see it, it goes from purple to a dark gray to white, and then dark gray and then purple again. It's really pretty. And it's a lot like the asexual flag. The purple represents asexuality, the white, allosexuality, and the gray sexuality. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.
This is the Juxera Pride flag. Juxera is a gender identity that's similar to being a girl, but it's on a completely different plane from the binary gender of woman. Juxera is commonly understood as a feminine gender, but you don't have to dress or appear feminine in order to identify with the term Juxera. The pink and blue on both ends of the pentagon represent the girl and boy genders, while the other colors in the middle represent the gender spectrum, and the green triangle is a visual representation of where Juxera falls on this gender spectrum.
Let's talk about cupiosexuals and cupio-romantics. This is one of my most requested micro-labels, so I know a bunch of y'all gonna relate. Cupio means to desire or long for. Cupiosexuals are people who experience little to no sexual attraction, but still have a desire for a sexual relationship. They are usually sex favorable, but not always. Sometimes they simply fancy the idea of a sexual relationship, but don't have the intention of actually pursuing one. The aromantic counterpart is a cupio-romantic who experiences little to no romantic attraction, but still has a desire for a romantic relationship or an appreciation for romance. Perhaps they enjoy cuddles and long walks on the beach, but have no idea who the heck they'd like to do that with. I'm sure these identities can be a little confusing and isolating at times, but I know there's more than one of you out there. Leave a comment and make some Cupio friends, or maybe even a queer platonic partner. I'm now endorsing TikTok QPRs.
Good one. Now here it goes. Pan is a Greek prefix which refers to everything or all. So pangender refers to a person whose gender identity is not limited to one gender and may encompass all genders at once. One very important thing to note, pangenders do not try to identify with ethnic genders outside their own cultures. I hope that helps because Mama had to do a little bit of research.
This is a reminder that non-asexual aromantic and allosexual aromantic are not always interchangeable. Non-asexual aromantic includes identities such as my own. I'm not asexual, but I'm not allosexual either. My experiences are going to be very different from an allosexual aromantic person's. I think it's just important if you're an ally who's talking about aromantic issues, if you're talking about allosexual aromantic issues, make sure to say allosexual aromantic. There's nothing wrong with that term. Just saying non-asexual aromantic also includes other aromantic people who might not experience sexual attraction but still don't identify as asexual. Just something to keep in mind.
So I'm not an expert or an authority on what neuroqueer means,
But to simplify it and make it easier for you to understand, it's essentially, on a base level, it's kind of where your neurodivergent identity and your queer identity, how they interact and intersect. This also extends to your other identities, such as your race, your socioeconomic class, your ethnicity, etc., and how those things also interact and intersect with your neurodivergence and your queerness. And some ways that some people may practice being neuroqueer can range from theoretical thought experiments to social justice work methods. A good example may be something like deciding to represent your gender identity in an intentionally queer way as a way to subvert hegemonic ideas of gender performance. It is a fairly new term, so it is very fluid and the possibilities are endless. Neuroqueering is a rejection of able hetero assimilation and counter-identification in favor of disidentification. And I'll put a link in the comments for where I got all this information from. It is an article called An Introduction to Neuroqueer. For anybody else who may be watching this video, I'm really curious, especially because this is such a new term, what neuroqueer means to you. I would really love it if you would stitch this video or duet or write something in the comments just about what it means for you, or how you portray that, or how you embody being neuroqueer.
You begged him. I'm demisexual. I only feel sexual attraction when I form an emotional connection. If there's no strong bond, it's not an option. Get to know me. I'm demisexual.
Big question is from my bio, and it is, what is androsexual? The basic definition is that androsexual refers to people who are attracted to masculinity. The important part of this, it says may be attracted to anyone with masculine qualities regardless of their gender or sexual orientation. A lot of people look at androsexual and masculinity, they think, Amanda, why don't you just say you're straight? But there can be masculine women, or there could be a masculine they them, or there could be a masculine genderqueer person. There could be just a masculine man. Not all men are even masculine. Sometimes I like to make it easier on people and say that I'm pan with a preference because pansexuals don't care about gender. And neither do androsexuals. And I didn't know I was this until I googled what is it called to be attracted to masculinity. And that's how I found out I was gay. Nice.
Hi, I'm so sorry for the late response, but I've been incredibly busy lately. But this is not a weird question at all. I get asked all the time. It's a relatively unknown sexuality, and that's okay. Being autosexual means that I am on the asexual spectrum. People who are asexual do not enjoy intimate relationships with others. This is the same for people who are auto. However, people who are autosexual do enjoy self-pleasure, whereas people who are asexual tend not to do so. That's the only real difference, and I hope this educated you. Bye.
I never thought I would have the opportunity to make a video like this, but last week I came out of the closet as agender and queer, so I would like to officially reintroduce myself as Rowan. It's nice to meet all of you too.
Guys, let's talk sexuality, specifically asexual, demisexual, and cupiosexual. Asexual people don't experience sexual attraction. Some ace people are touch and sex repulsed, while others just don't experience or understand sexual attraction. Asexual people can still be in happy, healthy, functioning romantic relationships as they still feel romantic attraction, just not sexual attraction, not to be mistaken with ace-aro. Aro stands for asexual, aromantic. Ace-aro people are perfectly happy with the platonic relationships they have in their life, and they don't need anything more. But we have demisexual. Demisexual people only feel sexual attraction after a strong personal bond is made, so basically they're asexual until that bond is made, and after they only feel sexual attraction for that person. Lastly, we have cupiosexual. Cupiosexual people are asexual people who still desire a sexual relationship, but don't experience sexual attraction. Cupiosexual people may decide to have a sexual relationship despite not feeling sexual attraction, while others don't. Both are completely valid, and communication is key. Hope I could help. Check out my hashtag VampireKidExplains for more.
Cool. Hey, I'm lesbian. I don't get it. Can someone please explain it to me so I can, understand?
Hello, my name's Phoebe. I use they, them pronouns primarily, and he, him is sort of like a secondary pronoun, and I'm a lesbian. So somebody tagged me in this. Nice to meet you. Pronouns do not equal gender, and that's like the whole thesis statement and the answer to your question, basically. Like digging a little deeper into that though, lots of lesbians have complicated relationships with gender for all kinds of various reasons. Lesbians who were socialized as women and are not attracted to men have a really weird experience in patriarchal society and like the male gaze and like all of these things. So it's very common to feel like incredibly disconnected from womanhood as a concept. Anyone who is a non-man who is attracted to non-men, if they so choose and feel comfortable doing so, can identify as lesbian. And that's like a lot of people. I would just suggest that you apologize to your coworker and say that you didn't understand the vibe. You didn't mean to hurt their feelings.
When people ask me what my pronouns are, and I'm like, yeah, they or she is fine, it's true. But when someone uses they for me, I feel like flooded with warmth. And when someone uses she for me, I'm like, I exist. I've been perceived. So it's fine, especially if you're queer. But if you a straight person, I'm not a she to you.
I describe myself as agender because internally when I think of me, I don't associate me with any gender. And not in a way that's like, I could go any way, I'm cool with all pronouns. I am specifically no thank you to gender. A lot of people would say, but you look so femme! I know! It's useful sometimes. I grew out my hair this long because I've been a performer for 6 years and I found that I got better tips when I flipped my hair around, so I look that way. But when I think inside and I introspect about what I want from gender, powerful. Intimidating, biblically accurate angel. I don't really feel gender euphoria at all. I just don't want it. For me, gender isn't a part of my identity. Gender is a tool that I use to get what I want. If you're following along and questioning your identity at home, take a second to think about what exactly you want from gender and what part of it gives you euphoria. And like and follow for more gender fuckery from this series this week as we talk about movement and gender presentation and the moment that I started questioning my gender.
Non-binary people now have white patriarchal beauty standards. Did anybody else catch that? It's kind of telling that we want them all to look like white prepubescent femboys. Patriarchy still wants to put them in the box of things that are not men that we can infantilize. Did you know a lot of black AFAB people describe themselves as non-binary because white patriarchy pushed them out of the binary by aging them up and masculinizing them? Non-binary people don't owe anybody androgyny, but it's interesting that we've also all seemed to land on there being one type of androgyny and that it's infantilizing. Yes, I'm for body autonomy. I know dysphoria is real, but it does interact with patriarchy. I know that the reason I want to shave my legs isn't some essential characteristic of womanhood that I brought into this world. I think my dysphoria has something to do with how I came into this world, but it's heavily informed by patriarchy.
Okay, can someone help me out with this because I'm confused. I am a woman. I identify as a woman. I feel comfortable in being a woman. Like, what the fuck is a woman? Like, if someone asked me, what does being a woman mean to you? I wouldn't have an answer. Don't even try to tell me that, well, being a woman is being empathetic and kind and compassionate, because that could be anybody. Anybody could be those things. Don't even bother being transphobic in my comments, saying that, oh, well, being a woman is having a uterus and having kids, because no. Don't even bother saying that being a woman means having biddies and having a vagine, because no. Also, no, wrong. So I'll ask the question again. What is a woman? Like, I feel so comfortable identifying as a woman, but is that only because that's just what I've always been? That's what people always told me that I was, so I just went with it? And the thing that's frustrating with this question is that everyone's answer is always, well, it depends on the person. And I get that, I know, but I'm trying to figure it out for myself, and I don't know. And I mean, I'm a gender abolitionist, so like, abolish gender, you know? But some people feel very validated in their labels and in their gender. So I'm strictly speaking for myself. I don't know what being a woman means to me. Anyone else?
Let's talk about libidoist and non-libidoist asexuals. This is part 19 of Ace Ed. Libidoist is a term used to describe any person, regardless of orientation, that experiences sexual urges or desires. They have a libido. They might have sexual relationships, have a desire to participate in sexual acts, or self-stimulate. Libidoist asexuals exist because libido and sexual attraction are not the same thing. Most allosexuals are libidoists, so some people assume that libidoist asexuals are just allosexual. Not the case. Non-libidoist is used to describe anyone who does not have an active sex drive, or at least a very low one. They don't typically feel the need to self-stimulate or participate in sexual acts. This is how most people perceive asexuality, and a large percent of us do fall under non-libidoist. However, allosexuals can also be non-libidoist.
What's the unpopular opinion that you have about parenting that you know is going to make a lot of parents mad?
If you've been following me long enough, you know what I'm about to talk about.
I'm going to preface this with I am not telling anybody how to parent their child. This is specifically what I feel is best. And that is that gender creative parenting is a better option for parenting than assigning kids genders at birth and then having them tell you if it's different later. And I say that because by not assigning any gender at birth and treating their gender as an unknown, it gives them so much more opportunity to explore gender identity in all of its facets instead of having this preconceived notion of what gender is that was pushed on them based off of their genital appearance. So again, not telling anybody how to parent, but that's my 2 cents. And that's why we're raising our kiddo the way we are. You don't have to like it, but you will respect it. And if you don't respect it, I'm gonna block you. Real fast. Also no hate in the comments because that gets blocked too.
Hi, I'm Jax, and I just came up with new neo-pronouns that combine he, him, she, her, and they, them, okay? So hear me out. They, them, theirs, okay? They, them, their, whatever you want to consider it, right? Let's take the first one, the, okay? This combines she, he, and they, right? They. The. That's what they said, you know? That's what they said. Next, we got them, right? Okay, so them, we got, that's just combining them and him. Them. You know? I went to a movie with them the other night. Last one, theirs, okay? It's just like theirs, but like also like hers. Theirs. That jacket's theirs. Yes, this just sounds like they, them pronouns, but with the new ultra-scientific method, we have them so they've combined he and she as well. Everybody gets you with the, them, theirs today, yeah?
Today my student pulled me aside to ask me if I was trans. I said yes, and almost immediately they said, so when I grow up, I can actually be a boy? And honestly, I'm just proud they could say it out loud, because that really takes a lot.
Let's go, gender euphoria, let's go! Gender euphoria is a term used by trans people to describe the joy we feel when we're able to live as our true selves. People can experience gender euphoria when called the right name, when their correct pronouns are used, or when they have gender-affirming surgeries. But this isn't set in stone. Gender euphoria looks different for each individual trans person. If you've experienced gender euphoria recently, share your stories in the comments below.
So, as a fat person, I often dread medical appointments because of blatant medical fat phobia. The last OB appointment I went to, the provider blamed everything on my weight and told me that I needed to go on a medication that made me feel really terrible. This OB appointment that I just went to, I've been dreading, and the provider was amazing. She asked me what my pronouns are. She asked me about my name. She made me feel super comfortable, asked me about my trauma history so that she knew how to touch me in ways that were not harmful. She just was like great. And I was crying before getting my blood drawn because I just never have good experiences with medical providers. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to share, like, some experiences can be good and, like, don't be afraid to go when, yeah.
Hi there. You can either respect my trans homies, or I can identify as a fucking problem. And if I catch your bitch ass being disrespectful, your pronouns are going to be was, were. Thank you for coming, and have a nice day.